Hi, this is Jason Finesmith, and I want to go over the Bar Mitzvah Task Planner and how to use it. I designed this to help plan our son Ari's Bar Mitzvah in June 2014 at Congregation Etz Chaim in Palo Alto. And there were two main challenges. As a first time bar mitzvah family, we needed to know all the things we needed to do for the entire event, not just what Ari's training schedule was or what was the ONEG task set that we needed to do, and not just the high level things, but literally all the stuff we would actually need to do and in one comprehensive place to plan it and track it out. Secondly, we needed a way to plan things out so that we wouldn't be completely stressed out about dates and deadlines or have everything pile up at the last minute. And we definitely didn't want to stress out about something important that we forgot to get done at the right time. So, being an Excel geek, I took a simple Excel-based system I developed for some other projects and things I've done in the past, and I just modified it for our bar mitzvah. So this that I'm showing you includes all the things we needed to do for the bar mitzvah, including both the formal tasks given to us from Etz Chaim, plus all the other real-world things that really needed to get done. Now, every bar mitzvah is unique, so you can and you should amend this for your particular bar or bat mitzvah. So let's jump into this. So what we have here, this is a simulation showing that today is the 1st of March. It's not really, but we'll pretend that it is. And for a bar mitzvah date of June 28th, 2015. So in this example, we have 21 weeks to go to the big date. And let me give you a little overview of what's in here. So on the left-hand side are the actions that you need to do for the bar mitzvah. And these are little expander things that you can show all the details here. And we've got a few columns which I'll go over in a moment. And then on the right is basically a little Gantt chart that as you change the dates, it changes for you. So if you add like a start date, like you're going to start something on February 1st, it dynamically changes that whole thing. So it works for you. And so let's go through it column by column here and explain what it is. Oh, one other thing, the Gantt chart. So I found the weekly worked pretty well. There is, if you expand it, there's a monthly Gantt chart as well that's in here. I didn't find the monthly is something I use very often, but it's in there if you want to expand that. And there's the weekly. So let's go column by column. So the first column is the action column, what you need to get done. And I found it helpful to distinguish some tasks, like big tasks and subtasks, by indenting things. So you can just indent things a little bit more with this button up here, or undent things. And I also found it useful to just group things and hide them based on that. But however you want to do it, I also at times would just hide the things with a grouping type of thing if things got done. But however you want to do that is up to you. Column B, this is the days or weeks before the date. So these are actually like, I'd actually use these. So let me expand everything. You can see it all. And there's a number of things that you kind of want to do beforehand, like for out-of-town guests. You need to block the hotel dates, the hotel rooms out. And so you can put any number followed by M for month, W for weeks, or D for days, or just leave it blank. Like for instance, 6D, I could just put 6, and that will do the same thing. But just for clarity, I'll put it as 6D. And I'll show you how that works out here as we progress across the columns. The start date is kind of optional. I didn't use it for most things, but some people kind of like to see things that move. And so if you really like stuff like that, you just put the date and it'll kind of fill out the Gantt chart, but that's not really necessary. The manual end date is very useful. Some things you just say, okay, I need to do certain things a certain number of weeks or months or days before the bar mitzvah itself. And the manual end date is for things that actually have specific deadlines. So like if the hotel says you need to have reservations in or certain payment in by a certain date, it's useful to have a manual end date. Or if you kind of just want to set your own target for something, then you do that. And so that's what that is for. Um, let's move on here. So column, this is a little hidden column. You don't actually need to do anything for this column here. It's a calculated field. And you could just hide it like I have there and ignore it. But just to show you what it is, um, if you have anything in column D, then it figures out what date is. Okay, sorry. It'll show what's in column D as a default. But if you don't have anything here, like let's take this one, all right, it'll take what's in column B and figure out that 9 weeks before the 28th of your bar mitzvah date or whatever is actually the 26th of April, for example. And so it just kind of figures it out. So if there's no hard date, then it will put in the implied date by that. And that's really all it does. So it's kind of complicated, so you can keep that hidden. And what column F does, well, let me show that again. What F does is if you say, hey, I need to do something by like a month before the bar mitzvah, but then you also have a hard date, which maybe happens to be 5 weeks before the bar mitzvah, but you didn't really think through those details, it will show the earliest of those two dates. Okay, this will be the earliest of a month and the manual date that you put in there. Okay, and so that becomes useful because you just want to be a little conservative about things. The other thing about this, which is nice, is that it color codes things automatically for you. So let's say we're actually at say 5/20, May 20th, and so the things that are just they're overdue but less than a week overdue, like this one, will be pink, color coded pink, and the things that are more than a week overdue will be a bright orange. So it's kind of easy to tell. Let's switch back to March 1st. All right. Column G is for completed status. So if something's done, you either put done or 100%, either one of those fine. But if it's not done, then it's blank or 50% done. Then what will happen is it'll show up in the Gantt chart. And if it's done, you just say either done or 100%, whatever type of way you want to put it in there, and it will blank that out, and it'll blank out the earliest end date, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the owners column, this is a used a little bit, not a lot, but if it's helpful for you, go ahead. So let me expand this. This is just showing, okay, who actually has to do it. So parents, or in our case, parents and Ari. It doesn't matter what you type in there, as long as these things are found in there, then it works. So for instance, if I change this to say parents, uh, if I had someone named Joe in the family, and I change this to Joe, it's going to find that. See the one there? It just looks up the word Joe in this thing here. So let me undo that. All right, and how that's useful is if you want to filter this stuff and just filter on, okay, what are the things that, Ari has to do, our son, so he can quickly just see the stuff he has to do. So that's how it's useful. You know, Probably geeks like me might use that, but it's not really that important, so I'm going to hide that. And then the comments and details are just very useful for, like, just little details to get them done. And in particular, I would put certain files that were key reference files in the comments, so I could just quickly get to those things. So that's the gist of it. A few tips if you want to insert a new row. So like, let's say I want to put something in here about the meals for the weekend. I'll just select a row, right click it, insert, and then to make sure you preserve the formulas, because there are some things hidden in there, and this Gantt chart stuff kind of needs the formulas that are built in here. So you just copy a row. So I'm just gonna like select any old row, and I'll hit Control C, or that's, I think, for Windows people, copy, and then you can paste there, and then paste, boom, and then you put whatever the task is, walk the dog, or whatever it is, you know, 2 weeks, and you could put a date if you want, like say we're really gonna, maybe it's the 5th. Someone says you want it there, okay, and all that's gonna work out. So that's how you do all that stuff. Um, One other tip is I found it useful to color code the things I was just like the 2 to 5 things I wanted to focus on for a given week in yellow or whatever your favorite color is, and that would just make it a little bit easier to figure out what those things are. And I reviewed this on a weekly basis, or sometimes as it got closer to the date, on a daily basis with my wife, and this just made it very easy for us to kind of plan, okay, like what do we get done, how are we doing with this, that, or the other thing. And so that's basically how we use this thing. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope it's useful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know.